21st. We're waiting for quorum. Ms. Secretary, could you take a roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Martinez.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez-Piña. Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Meyer.
Present.
Mr. Pago. Mr. Vasquez. Chair Gutierrez. Vice Chair Ferre. I have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. I believe we have someone on the phone. Who is there?
Javi Vasquez.
Javi Vasquez is also present by phone, Ms. Secretary. Thank you. I'd like any declarations of conflicts, please. Any other members have conflicts on any other agenda items today? Hearing none. Mr. Director, are we going to do, I believe we have some public comments today, is that correct?
I haven't been made aware of public comment, but if anybody has any comments they want to make, this is the time to make it.
Oh, I thought we were going to have a presentation from...
Actually, what we were going to do, we do have Bobby Hartnett with Team Florida. If you'd like, we can do that right now, or we can leave it for the informational items. It's
my discretion?
Your discretion, sir.
Why don't we do it now so that Mr. Hartman doesn't have to go through the entire agenda with us? And if he'd like to, he can do it now.
If we'd like. Bob Hartnett, who's the president CEO of Team Florida.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hartman.
And technically inadequate. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am the president, CEO, and co-founder of Team Florida, which stands for Transportation Expressway Authority members of Florida. We have a director on the board for either the chairman or a person appointed by your board, and every other board, and just all you do is hit click play. We have a member from the Governor's Florida Transportation Commission. Mayor Ferre served in that capacity at some time while he was also serving on this board, but we've served together in a number of 8 places. Team Florida is brought together to bring people within the industry and people on the staffs of the various agencies so that they get a time where we bring forth either projects that they've done, and there's a learning curve from that, instances where we have developed a concept that we think the Florida Department of Transportation ought to implement based on their experiences, and taken that to the department, and they determine if they want to do that, or if it needs legislation, they take it for legislation. Team Florida was specifically founded that it is not a lobbying entity, because so many agencies could, in effect, have a conflict within them. So we said we will not do any lobbying. So that is what Team Florida is. From about 2 years ago, I think, Mayor Ferre and others decided that we need to be able to explain more about the operation of this type of transportation mode. And so we set out to develop a video which could be shown, hopefully, to members of the legislature. You can use it in the Rotary clubs and Express clubs and other speaking engagements is where I use it. And we have been working on this for about 1.5 years and finally have a completed document, which I would like to present to you because your agency has been a party to it in both creating it through your staffs and your other people and in the funding of the development of it. So, Mr. Chairman and other members, if there are any questions about the wonderful world of Team Florida, where we are having a meeting on May 8th, 7th and 8th in Jacksonville. In October 29th and 30th, we are coming to Miami for our fall meeting after some of us get back from IBTTA and Ireland. And so I would bring this to you for your education and the education of the audience, which I know they know about it as much as I do. So if there are any questions, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to do it.
Does any of the members of the committee have any questions for Mr. Hartman? Of course.
Thank you.
Mayor Ferre, go right ahead.
First of all, the most impressive information that this... did you show the film?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, when you see it, it's very well done. But to me, the most impressive thing is that 91% of the highways that have been built in the last, I forget,
Since 1998.
since 1998.
When
Yeah.
the interstates ceased building new roads.
In other words, that 91% of the roads built in Florida are toll roads. I mean, to me, it was a shocking. I didn't realize it was that high.
And the film.
Play.
Okay. Well, before
Developing high-quality roadway systems throughout the state. Taking the story of Florida transportation to the people in the know. That's Team Florida. The benefits of tolling include mobility choices, more reliable travel time options, revenue for new road construction, expansion and maintenance of existing roads, and relieves congestion on local roads. Since completion of the interstate in 1993, 91% of new corridors are toll facilities. Over 10 billion vehicle miles are traveled on toll facilities each year. Nearly 3 million customers drive Florida's toll roads and bridges each day. Customer satisfaction surveys reveal 91% overall and 97% ETC satisfied. Roads aren't free. The primary source of funding for roads has been the federal and state gas taxes. For every gallon pumped, 18.4 cents goes into the Federal Highway Trust Fund, a portion of which is then allocated back to each state based on a legislatively established formula. That tax has not increased in over 20 years. The increasing use of electric and alternatively fueled vehicles and people simply driving more fuel-efficient vehicles continue to reduce the amount of money for road building and maintenance. So Florida is at a critical juncture. Fast-growing transportation needs and few options for paying for them. Tolling is one option for funding a much-needed transportation project to alleviate congestion and improve mobility. So, today more than ever before, relying on tolls to finance highway projects provides a viable option, especially when other sources for highway funding are drying up. Toll roads are paid for by the customers who use them. Billions have already been invested to build, operate, and maintain the toll roads that help drive Florida's economy. For every dollar invested, toll payers get back nearly $5 in economic benefits, not to mention thousands of critically important jobs that are added each year. Revenues from tolls are used to manage and maintain Florida's toll roads, so taxpayers don't have to foot the bill. Florida currently has over 700 miles of toll facilities. Nearly 3 million customers drive our toll roads or bridges each day, and more people are opting for a less congested alternative to reach their destination. Toll roads give Florida residents and visitors a choice in deciding whether or not their time is worth the cost of the toll.
It's worth it. It's worth it. Saves me time on my commute, saves me stress on my commute, so it's totally worth it.
Today, all Florida toll roads offer electronic payment, eliminating the need to stop and pay with cash, and often offering the lowest toll rates. All vehicles are eligible and are able to continue to travel at higher speeds. The environmental benefits are significant too. FDOT planners, along with transportation and expressway authorities statewide, are deploying innovative ways to to manage the state's increasing transportation demand. Everyone benefits because tolls provide relief on non-tolled roads as well, allowing the entire transportation network to run more efficiently. Tolling is playing a pivotal role in solving today's problems and meeting tomorrow's transportation challenges. Tolling, a proven mobility option. Team Florida, keeping Florida on the move. This Team Florida video is brought to you by its members: the Central Florida Expressway Authority, the Jacksonville Transportation Authority, the Lee County Department of Transportation, the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority, the Miami-Dade County Public Works and Waste Management Department, the Mid-Bay Bridge Authority, the Osceola County Expressway Authority, and the Tampa-Hillsborough Expressway Authority.
So,
I got a question.
Of course, Mr. Mayor.
What does ETC satisfied mean? I mean, I don't know what that is. It says 97%
toll.
ETC satisfied.
electronic toll collection,
Oh, okay.
that probably ought to be edited.
Well, you know, I think
Yeah.
most people don't know what ETC satisfied
We're in the
means.
toll business.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Thank you for the presentation. I truly appreciate it. Does anyone have any other comments or questions?
Actually, if I could, board members, for context, and thank you, Bob, for the video, but, you know, the staggering number of 91% of new facilities have been toll facilities.
That's shocking.
What that has afforded Florida, and Florida, we look at it as an entire enterprise, Florida DOT. The dollars that come from Washington and from the state through the gasoline tax have been focused more on safety, preservation of the current system. That's why our facilities around the state are in such good condition. A lot of the new capacity, whether it's through partnerships with authorities, whether it's partnerships with Florida's Turnpike or Florida Turnpike taking the lead, that's what's afforded a lot of the new miles throughout the state. That's where the 91% capacity. So Florida as a whole has benefited because of tolling being a viable funding option.
You know, Mr. Chairman, but I would be a devil's advocate, Mr. Executive Director, by saying Florida today gets 75% of the $10 billion that FDOT cost from the state of Florida and 25% from Washington. Mm-hmm. It's one of the lowest of any department in the 50 states. Now, you can say, yeah, now that the feds are really cutting down, there's no money available. That's why Florida's doing so well. The flip side is, yeah, but how much money have we given up? In other words, the fact that we're paying it for, who's paying for it? You know, the people of Florida. But we're sending money to Washington we never get back.
That's a very good point, but that's probably a discussion for another time today. Thank you for the presentation. I truly appreciate it on behalf of the committee. Thank you again. I'd like to, to set the agenda, I'd like to modify the agenda if it's acceptable to the members of the committee. Item C, which I believe, Mr. Gonzalez, you have a conflict on. If you could step out for one moment.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Before we move forward, I would like to query Mr. Ferrer if he has a conflict.
Excellent. Excellent. I would like to, the oversight on this was Mr. Rick Rodriguez Pena, who has also presented his input in a letter relating to this item. He is not able to be here today because he is flying via involving his work. I'd like to defer this item to the May agenda Operations Committee meeting so he can be present so that he can give us his input based upon the issue that is being brought before us by staff. Does any member of the committee have any objection to that?
Mr. Chairman, the May Operations Committee meeting would be May 12th at 10 a.m.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Does the Executive Director have any objections to this? Does this create any problems for you?
No objection, sir.
Okay. Do you have any objection? Any other members that are present? Now, Council, this needs to be a moved item, so we need to have it moved. Is that correct?
That's correct. Just a simple majority will do.
Does anyone wish to move the item to be deferred?
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Ferrer. Does anyone wish to second it? Seconded by Chairwoman Gutierrez. We've had a discussion. Any discussion closed? Any objections to the item being deferred? Hearing none, the item passed unanimously to be deferred to the May meeting. Now, Council, if you could go through the action items now, please.
Okay. Action item A is approval of summary minutes, Operations Committee meeting of March 17, 2015.
Has everyone had the opportunity to review them? They have. Mr. Meyer is moving the items to be entered in, seconded by Vice Chair Perez.
Sure.
Anyone in opposition to the minutes being accepted as is? Hearing none, the item passes. Oh, I'd also like to acknowledge that, although not a member of the committee, Board Member Walters is here today. Thank you very much for being here. Please, if you have any questions or any input in any of the items, we would greatly appreciate it as well. I look, listen, and learn every day, but thank you for being here today, especially on a day where it looks like the traffic's going to be a little rough with the weather. Item B.
MDX procurement contract number RFP-1503, General Engineering Consultant Services, Work Program Production, GECA, $10 million cap. Endorsement of contract extension.
Thank you. I believe for staff, Mr. Toledo will be doing the presentation.
Good afternoon, committee members. As stated, this is the endorsement for board approval for a one-year contract extension to HNTB Corporation, GCA. Staff is requesting the Operations Committee to endorse the MDX board the approval of the one-year option on the GCA contract. The contract will expire June 30th of 2015, the initial 5-year term. There is a one-year renewal option on this contract. HNTB has served the authority in good standing and has received a performance rating of above satisfactory in all its grading periods. MDX is currently in the procurement phase of GCB. The extension of this contract will maintain continuity with the MDX day-to-day management of the work program and other support functions. Staff will be coming back to the Operations Committee to re-advertise this contract after the selection of GCB. GCA has met all small and local business requirements on the contract, and again, this action ensures GC staffing continuity of GC staffing responsible for the coordination and oversight of the MDX work program.
Okay. Any questions from the committee at this point? Let's start with Mr. Gonzalez and then Chair. Okay, then Chair Gutierrez.
Yeah. What's the time frame for the procurement from GECA?
When is scheduled to go out? It's the question. Right now, January. It's what we have in our letting plan.
So isn't that running a little bit close if you're letting it out in January of next year? And then this contract will then expire in
June
a year?
30th of 2016.
Yeah.
The current process is taking us between 3 to 4 months.
The current
procurement
process? I'm sorry. I don't
Procurement
understand.
process.
The current one, which one? This one or the other one?
They will both run the same process, so it will take the same amount of time.
I think you're running late. Is that what it is?
I'm sorry?
I think it's running late.
Running late?
Yes.
Well, with the deferment of today, yes, the process now has been pushed.
But how does the deferment of today, going 2 weeks out, affect this one?
Well, we need a selection of this contract, GCB, in order to release GCA because the same teams cannot be or the same firms cannot be in the two different contracts. So the teams need to have already determined which GEC contract they're going to be in order to put together the teams for GECA.
So in other words, you can't release the RFP?
Not until
Even though there's a deadline? Even though there's a deadline?
The teams need to know which team they're going to be in order to be able to put teams together for GECA. They cannot be the same teams, the same firms cannot be both in GECA and in GECB. So we need to have a GECB in place.
Hold on. Mr. Toledo, you have a comment?
Yeah, just to clarify, the intent of how we were putting out the GCs, was one, to stagger the procurement time between the two contracts so that we didn't have these contracts in transition at the same time, both GC contracts potentially transitioning over to new firms at the same time. So we wanted to be able to maintain some kind of continuity. That's why the original letting plan was set up as such. We always considered a time frame to procure of approximately 4 months, and that would allow us a 2-month transition time frame. So 6 months is the overall time that we feel is adequate to be able to procure and potentially transition between new firms. On what Helen is saying, because of the restrictions that we have on the contracts, you can't have firms on A also under contract with B. We wanted the selection of B to be completed so that anyone, if any teaming arrangements that weren't selected as part of B would have an opportunity and ensure competition for the reprocurement of the A contract. So in order to ensure competition, we want to make sure that we have a selection of B.
Okay. I'm trying to get a better understanding of the alignment of things. I do understand that the RFP is the one that prohibits you going on both sides, A and B, while they're both simultaneously going on. That's one of the things you're telling me. What I want to know, this B, the one that's open now,
Yes.
okay, the one that was deferred,
Mm-hmm.
okay, when is that supposed to come back? It's supposed to come back May 12th at our board meeting, all right?
Operations committee.
Operations. Okay, it's going to come back at operations. When is that one supposed to be awarded?
With this deferment, I'm hoping that no later than June.
So June of this year.
Yes.
So come June of this year, then you'll be letting out A.
We could, if that's the wish of the committee.
Which, interestingly enough, Chair Gutierrez, this is exactly what I was discussed with staff earlier about. I thought that a year was too long, and I thought waiting until January to send out the RFP was too much of a period. So when given the opportunity, I was going to alter what the recommendation of staff was to reduce it to a 6-month extension, but for us to have the RFP in our hands in June or in July or as soon as possible so that we can look at it and send it out before the January date that they're discussing.
So yeah, so the line of questioning that I'm having is something already that you're concerned with.
Absolutely.
Which I see that we would be falling into a problem because the timetable does not work.
Right.
The timetable, the way it's been scheduled out, it does not work. We would be running into a problem with this actual extension if it goes through in a year because you're really running short of time.
Mm-hmm.
Also because you don't even have time for awarding. You don't have time for transition is really the problem at the end. Either this goes out in June, or this goes out in June, or this goes out in June.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this has to go out in June.
Oh.
I appreciate
Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair, that's why I asked the executive director if he had any problems with this, because I figured that this was kind of cramping things a little bit, but he says he doesn't have any problems.
They're two different issues, Vice Mayor Ferre. The GCB deferral for 2 weeks to the Operations Committee basically moves the GCB schedule 2 weeks, and it moves it from an approval at the May board meeting to potentially an approval in the June board meeting. GCA is a different.
We thought the contract in June.
GCA is a different issue. GCA, the way is presented here as item 4B, was that we would extend the current contract for a year and we would advertise for reprocurement in January. What I'm hearing the committee say is that they think that advertising in January is too late.
Correct.
They would like us to advertise it earlier. That's, I think, what I'm hearing, correct?
That's correct.
That's what we're discussing now.
You're absolutely
So they're
right.
two different.
Thank you. I got confused on that.
contracts.
Right. That's exactly, I believe, what I expressed as well, Chair Gutierrez, and I'm glad, obviously, you're aligned with what my concerns were. Exactly. I thought that waiting until January to advertise was way too long from now. And Mr. Toledo, if I'm correct, a minimum amount of time for transition in the event that a new, and I'm by no means trying to indicate that this is going to occur. If there's a transitionary period, a minimum of 60 days is going to be needed, correct?
Correct.
more time is better than having to push it all into a small window, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I think I'm hearing from Ms. Chair Gutierrez what I have expressed was I think I agree with you. I don't think we can wait until January to wait to advertise. I went so far as I'm not even comfortable with giving a full year extension at this point until I want to keep the feet to the fire of staff by making it a 6 months extension with an option to renew for additional 6 months if need be, but at least we know that the time is now of the essence because 6 months obviously puts them in a more difficult position, but that's up for the committee to see if they want, which way they want to go. But that's as far as I went on that issue. Do you have any other questions, Chair Gutierrez?
No.
Does anyone, Mr. Gonzalez, do you have any questions? Mr. Meyer?
No.
Chair, for any other questions? I'd like to also acknowledge on the record that Mr. Vasquez has also joined us, who is a member of the committee, and I'd like to welcome also Ms. Fano, who is a member of our board, for being here as well. Mr. Vasquez, as a member of the committee, do you have any questions on this issue? Mr. Walters, do you have any questions on this item? And Ms. Fano, do you have any questions? So what's the committee's pleasure? Would you want to extend for the full year with an instruction to advertise by June, or do you want to extend it only 6 months? I'd like some input from everyone. Mr. Ferre?
I like your thoughts. I agree with your comments.
Does anyone else? So now, Mr. Rodriguez, question: can staff do that? Will that be okay?
Mr. Chair, we can live with it. We're fine with a 6 month extension, and we would advertise it in July. We'd get an approval from the committee in the June operations meeting to advertise. That way, we have completed the GECB process, and I think we can make it work. I mean, based on the experience that we have with B right now, I'm sure we can get it going. We've got the RFP and the language pretty much done, so it's just a matter of advertising and going through the process.
Okay.
I think the 6 months works because I think competition will have enough time to get together and compete for the process, because that's what's most important for me. So I think the 6 would work for us.
So, Council, would we need to amend the item for it to be a 6 month extension and that the contract for advertising be out by July? Do we need to add to amend what we're doing here?
Yeah, I think you have two questions there.
Okay. Should they be
Just directing them to get it out by July.
Should we do it? And I want to make sure we follow should we do it in two separate items, or can we combine them into one? Based on what would you recommend?
I always recommend separate, but
Okay, we can do it. We can do it that way. Does anyone wish to move the item that instead of a 1 year extension, we offer a 6 month extension to move by Chair Ferre, seconded by who? By Mr. Vasquez. We've had discussion. Discussion is closed. Anybody have any other comments other than what have been heard? Hearing none. Any objection to that recommendation? Hearing none, the item passes unanimously. The second item, Chair Gutierrez, do you wish to move that item? That staff be instructed to put out the RFP for GECA by our July board meeting. Is that what you wish to do? Chair Gutierrez is moving it, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. We've discussed this item as well. Any other comments? Hearing none, discussion is closed. Is anyone in opposition to the recommendation and moving to the item? Hearing none, the item passes unanimously. What's the next on our agenda, Council?
we're down to discussion items.
Staff, is there any discussion presentation? Thank you very much.
Again, good afternoon, committee members. We're going to give you a quick overview of the 2016-2020 work program. The highlights of this program are very simple, since there's not a lot of changes. We're going to continue to deliver on our commitments to safety, system preservation, and the mobility improvements. On the safety, we're going to continue to look at the wrong way safety program, addressing ramps where we're seeing continuous vehicles entering ramps in the wrong way. So we're going to be putting in, the do not enter signs, looking at the new technology on how to address that so people are aware before they go in there. System safety improvements. We've already started. We've made presentations beginning with last October. We've already implemented a lot of these safety improvements. All of our projects have the new higher reflective pavement striping. We've already put in solar pavement markers along 836, 874, and 878. Those are already out there, and we believe they are making a difference because they guide the vehicles through their lanes a lot better. 22nd Avenue, 45th Avenue on 836. They look amazing. If you haven't driven it at night, I suggest you do so because it looks very good. System preservation. We're gonna go ahead and program in milling and resurfacing, painting of structures, and replacement of signs and lighting upgrades that are needed as part of the normal system preservation process, and then continue with our planning projects. Delivering on our commitments, we're going to continue. 83628 has already been awarded, and it's already been issued notice to proceed. The contractors are already designing, and we're going to be hopefully breaking ground on that project within the next couple months. The 83611 project, which is 836 and 995 interchange, we're currently working with DOT on the JPA for that project. We anticipate that project will start in June of 2016, but the advertisement is slated to begin in September of this year. The 83629, which is 836 interchange modifications at 87th Avenue, we're finalizing our agreements with the county on the easements necessary to build these projects on Northwest 12th. We are anticipating that we are going to be advertising this project hopefully in the May-June timeframe. 87410 has already been awarded. The contract is pending execution, and that's going to get started soon, as well as 92404, which is the 924 West Extension. Final design for that is slated to start in early 2016. We should be advertising that in the summer. Again, these are the projects that we promised we were going to deliver as part of our initiatives to close 836 and State Road 112. We're putting our money where our mouth is. We're delivering the projects. They're out there. Half of the money is already committed. They're shovels on the ground. By the end of the year, we'll have everything in place.
And board members, on 87410, I executed the contract today. So
Excellent.
that's enough.
Thank you for that information. Any questions to staff on what was on the presentation?
I think it's congratulations. Congratulations
I agree.
to you, to your team. You work fast, and you get the work on the ground, and it keeps moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Very good job.
Particularly, and I think this is also an important congratulations is to staff and their aggressiveness. Is a majority of our recent RFPs have all been significantly below budget, are the bids we have been getting. And that is a direct testament to the word getting out there, that we protect every cent and every dollar of our clients, which is everyone, including ourselves that ride the roads, because I forget what was that commercial. I'm not just a user, I'm a member. I believe that was American Express. Was that commercial? Well, I'm not just... That was the hair club, that's right. Well, I'm in the same situation. I'm not just a member of the board. I am a client because I use our roads every day. So does my wife, back and forth. So it's important that my dollars, as well as everyone else's dollars, be spent. And I take great pride in that. And I congratulate you guys for your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Board members, on the work program, we will be bringing an approval item to the board, to the committee next month, and then we will be transmitting it to the county for inclusion in the work program as is customary every year, and that becomes part of the TIP. So this was the first of 3 steps, this presentation. Thank you.
The next items is informational items. Is there any item, we've already done the Team Florida presentation. Is there any other items, or or the packets, all the information are in the packets?
All the reports are in the packet, and as customary, any questions on any procurement, any contingency release, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to walk you through any of those issues.
And some announcements today. The Policy and Planning Committee will be meeting right after this meeting at 3 o'clock, and of course on 4 o'clock today we will be having our board meeting. I move to adjourn. Hearing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much for your time. Have a wonderful day, and be safe on the roads today with the wet weather. Thank you.